Somewhere on a military aircraft, there is a small metal coupling. It cost about $173 to manufacture. The Pentagon paid $6,986 for it. That is a markup of 4,039% for a single part. And here's the uncomfortable truth. That is not a scandal. That is the business model. This is TransDigm, and it quietly owns the sky. TransDigm makes roughly 70,000 different aerospace part numbers. Not glamorous parts. Pumps, valves, ignition systems, cockpit controls, the actuator that moves a wing flap. Each one is small, each one is boring. And the vast majority are sole source, meaning TransDigm is the only company on Earth you're allowed to buy them from. They do not build the plane, they build the 1,000 tiny things the plane cannot fly without. Own the boring parts, and you own the aircraft. Here is how the trap closes. When an aircraft gets certified by the FAA, every part on it gets certified too. To sell a competing version, a rival must win its own part manufacturer approval. That costs roughly $75,000 to $100,000, and it takes more than 18 months per part. Now multiply that by thousands of parts on a jet that flies for decades. No competitor in their right mind attempts it. The plane is locked the day it is certified. 3/4 of TransDigm's sales come from sole source contracts, parts with no FAA-approved alternative anywhere on the planet, and 90% of revenue comes from proprietary products it alone designs and controls. This is not a company that happens to have pricing power. It is pricing power, wearing a flight suit. Watch the money. $4.8 billion in fiscal 2021. By fiscal 2025, $8.8 billion, with net sales up 11.2% in a single year. Steady, relentless. That is the line you get when your customers literally cannot shop anywhere else. But revenue is not the moat. This is. TransDigm's EBITDA-as-defined margin climbed from 48.7% to a record 53.9%. Let that sink in. For every dollar that comes in the door, more than 50 cents is profit before the financial engineering even starts. The broad aerospace industry average is a fraction of that. In fiscal 2025, that machine threw off $2,074 million in net income, up 21% year over year. All of it from parts most passengers will never see and never think about. Here are the two together, sales in one color, profit in the other. And notice how the gap never closes. As revenue grows, the profit share holds or widens. That is the signature of a toll booth. More traffic, the same toll, and almost no extra cost to collect it. Now the counterintuitive part. In 2019, a Defense Department watchdog studied 47 TransDigm parts. 46 of them were sold to the Pentagon at excess profit, one at an excess profit of 4,451%. The fallout? TransDigm refunded $16.1 million. $16 million from a company that now earns nearly $5 billion in EBITDA a year. The penalty was a rounding error. The pricing power survived completely intact. So here is our take, and we will say it plainly. The best businesses on Earth are not the loud ones. They are quiet toll booths. Boring, essential, impossible to root around, that compound for decades while nobody is watching. TransDigm is the purest example we have ever found. It does not innovate to win. It positions to win, then prices to the value it captures, not the cost it incurs. That is not a flaw in the system. That is the system mastered. And look at where the money comes from. Defense, 40%. Commercial aftermarket, replacement parts for jets already flying, 32%. Original equipment, 28%. That aftermarket slice is the sweet spot. The plane is already certified, the part is already locked, and for decades, the airline keeps coming back to the same single supplier. And the model compounds. Since 1993, TransDigm has made around 90 acquisitions, buying up new sole source franchises, funded by a balance sheet that runs near 6 times leverage. Find a boring monopoly part, buy it, reprice it, repeat for 3 decades. So the next time you board a flight, remember this. The loud names built the jet, but a company you have probably never heard of owns the parts that keep it in the air and prices them like the monopoly it quietly is. 70,000 parts, 53.9% margins, 1 certification trap. That is the quiet monopoly playbook. If you want more teardowns of the businesses hiding in plain sight, subscribe to Quiet Monopoly, and we will keep following the money to where it actually goes.